Well, with Halloween right around the corner, I thought I might as well make a video that is horror and spooky themed. So when I was deciding on what I was going to do for the video, I was listening to music when I remembered that Carach Angren came out with an album in 2020 called Franckensteina Strataemontanus. That name being the addendum used by Johann Konrad Dippel at the university that he attended to. Don't worry, we'll get to Johann in a minute, but for a little history lesson on the band Carach Angren, it is a Dutch symphonic black metal band founded in 2003 by two members of a now-defunct bands Inger Idolova and Volted. Their style is characterized by the prominent usage of orchestral arrangements, death metal vocals, and guitar riffs. Their studio albums are concept albums with lyrics based on ghost stories and folklore. The band sets itself apart from other symphonic black metal bands and artists with the usage of multiple languages such as English, French, Dutch, and German. Members of the band are singer and guitarist Siragor, keyboardist and songwriter Ardek, and longtime drummer and founding member Namtar, who left the band as soon as their recording sessions ended for the latest album, citing dissatisfactions with the music industry, and who could blame him? The current state of metal and black metal as a whole is just a shit show that could be a video on its own. But I digress. Franckensteina Strataemontanus is the sixth studio album by the band released in 26th of June 2020. It is a concept album inspired by the life of late 17th century, early 18th century German occultist Johann Konrad Dippel, whose controversial experiments with corpses allegedly inspired Mary Shelley's influential 1818 Gothic novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, which is also a reference to the Latin epithet adopted by Dippel later in life. You see, why Johann is important to this album is because during his stay at Castle Frankenstein, he practiced alchemy and autonomy, in which he performed experiments with cadavers, in which he attempted to transfer the soul of one cadaver into another. Soul transference with cadavers was a common experiment among alchemists at the time. That was a theory that Dippel supported in his writings, thus making it possible that Dippel pursued similar objectives, but there is no direct evidence to link him to other specific acts. However, Dippel did experiment quite often with dead animals, and frequently too, in which he was an avid dissector. In his dissertation, Melodies and Remedies for the Life of the Flesh, Dippel claims to have discovered both the elixir of life and the means to exorcise demons through potions that he concocted from boiled bones of animals and flesh. This is the same essay in which Dippel claimed to believe that the souls could be transferred from one corpse to another by, you guessed it, using a funnel. Some of Dippel's contemporaries, notably Johann Heinrich Jung, believed that towards the end of his life, Dippel lost his faith altogether. After years of bitter disputes with other Christian leaders calling Christ an indifferent being, Dippel shifted all of his energy exclusively on alchemy experiments, which he set up a lab near Weitengeist. At the end point of his life, historical records are vague on the activities, but his name grew in folklore and nature. During this time, at least one local minister accused Dippel of grave robbing, experimenting on cadavers, and keeping company with the devil. For the most part, Dippel kept to himself and his word. He perhaps even actively perpetuated rumors that he sold his soul to the devil in exchange for secret knowledge. His reputation as a dark sorcerer better enabled him to find audiences with those willing to pay for his knowledge of the Philosopher's Stone and the Elixir of Life. The songs that make this album so dark and horrific are the ones we'll be taking a look at today. The title track, Franckensteina Strataemontanus, has this from Ardek saying, "We go into a laboratory of Dippel. We hear from a guy that's trying to be God, playing with alchemy and succeeding at experiments." This song was really special for us because it's one of the first few times that we made a very short song, and also a very catchy song, with almost chorus-verse structures because we are known for very complicated structures. We had a lot of fun creating this song because it was so fresh and new to us. It is a new angle that we are taking with the band musically, and we are really excited. In this song, you can hear Siragor saying,
I made him with these hands.
Oh, in the name of God, now I know how it feels to be God.
Quoting 1931 Frankenstein the movie, when Henry Frankenstein finally makes his creation twitch with signs of life in it. next song is called The Necromancer. Ardek says that this is a continuation of Dippel and his experiments. He wants to create a monster or bring something back from the dead. He makes a pact with the devil. I killed 6 times the devil's toll, and so as a listener, you get more interested, hopefully, like, what's going on here? We went from this boy to suddenly this kind of narcissistic maniac in his laboratory working with dead bodies and creating monsters and stuff. I really like what Siragor did with these tracks because the original Victor Frankenstein from the novel was a guy that was very troubled and confused, but Siragor said, we're going to make him evil. Siragor bellows out in the song,
It's alive!
to his reaction of having his monster come to life before his eyes, and also the main chorus by saying,
I killed 6 times to pay the devil's toll. 2 arms, torso, 2 legs, and a head. My monster is alive, risen from the dead.
Then with the song Monster, Arduk gives us some context to it. He says, while I was doing research about Dippel, Siragor was doing a lot of research into serial killers. He loves that stuff and watches all these movies, so we were trying to see if maybe we could combine these ideas. So, Monster is basically a track where, in one way, he's describing viewpoints from a serial killer, but you also start questioning what a monster really is. If we as a society point at someone and say, you are a monster, doesn't that make us monsters in the process as well? So this becomes kind of an eye of the storm of the album. The track opens up with a slow stomping and some jagged violin strings to the heavy drum usage by setting the tone of the story. With the lyrics of a verse saying,
I won't exactly scare you from underneath the bed. I will torture, rape, and dissect you, and I will not stop, even in death.
then the chorus following. And the last song we will talk about is called Der Vampir of Nuremberg, which stands for The Vampire of Nuremberg. Ardok also gives us more insight and context to the story since it's not about Frankenstein or his monster. He says Monster basically makes room for this song, which is about a guy called Bruno Hoffmann, who was living in Germany near Nuremberg. He was abused as a child, he was deaf and mute, but at a certain point they discovered he was drinking blood from dead people. He would go into cemeteries and morgue houses and cut them open and drink their blood. Then things escalated and he killed a couple that was sleeping in a car and drank their blood. This really happened in the 1970s, and this guy is apparently still alive in his 70s or 80s now. The guy who did our artwork, Stefan Heinemann, is from the area in Germany, and he told me the guy was released from prison and lives somewhere else anonymously now. In this song, there is a line of lyrics in German that say,
Ich krieche wie eine Ratte durch die Nacht. Mal sehen, was das Grab mir hat gebracht. Die Leiche ist noch frisch, ich trinke ihr Blut. Gottverdammt, das tut richtig gut.
The lyrics translate to, I crawl like a rat through the night. Let's see what the graves brought me. The corpses are still fresh. I drink its blood. Oh goddamn, that feels really good. I wanted to leave this fact at the end of the video about the band members' names and the name of the band itself. The name Carach Angren is derived from the J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings book, and it means iron jaws in the elvish language of Sindari. In the Tolkien universe, Carach Angren is also referred to as Innsmouth, is the name of the fortified pass into the plateau of Gorgoroth in the northwestern of Mordor. Now, Gorgoroth, that name sounds very familiar. I originally wanted to cover the whole album for Halloween, but these four stick out the most that could pique someone's interest in checking the album out, or just maybe finding an interest in the band like it did for me. I wish you all a happy Halloween, please be safe, and most importantly, watch out for monsters.